episode 3 of Great Reads featuring my favorite, well, I can't say that. That's not very politically correct, but some really amazing librarians. I'm Misty Shea, and then I have with me.
Hey, I'm Carrie Harris from Hillwood.
I'm Lauren Stetler from Keller Middle.
Oh, and shout out Central Chargers. I'm sorry, I did not forget you. And also tonight, I am Hogwarts as well. So shout out to my Hogwarts peeps. Go Ravenclaw. And we decided to do, well, actually, Miss Harris decided to do a beachy theme this week. So let's take a look at our books.
Before we start with the books, this is Audrey Wilson Youngblood moderating the chat tonight. So if you cannot see the live chat box, please click on your profile and then click Create Channel. That way you can join in our conversation. Speaking of the chat, if you'll give us a shout out, let us know what grade, what campus you're from, and start to ask those questions, ask for those book recs, and leave your book recs. All right, ladies, take it away.
All right, who's up first? Is that you, Miss Shea?
I muted myself. I was trying to unmute myself, so you're welcome. So just an overview of the books that we're going to be talking about. And yeah, I think I'm number 1. Woo! Okay. House of Salt and Sorrow. Let me tell you, I loved it. Like, I don't give books like really high stars, but I really enjoyed this one. So I'm going to warn you though, it does start a little bit slow, but it picks up and then you're going to really, really enjoy it. So House of Salt and Sorrows is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. And if you don't know that, it's okay. You don't need to know that. So I loved it because it almost touched like on old gods, and I mean little g gods. So like there's like a Poseidon throw off. He's kind of called something else. And it was really amazing. So you're following Annalee, and she has 12 sisters, except a couple of them have died, and every one of their deaths has been tragic. Like one fell from a really tall ladder in the library, one drowned in the bathtub, another fell off this really tall cliff. And the last sister, she just couldn't get it out of her like head that it wasn't quite right. Like she couldn't have just fallen off the cliff. She was petrified of the cliff. She wouldn't have been going. And so as the sisters tries to dig deeper and deeper into the death of her most recent sister, and in this small little island village, you're supposed to like mourn for 6 months, but then all of a sudden enter her new mother-in-law as well. And she is just like, oh, we shouldn't mourn. We should party, party, party. So suspicious. And then enter all these other people. And then they start going to this magical realm of dancing. The magic and the fantasy and all the kind of little g god mythology was really exciting. Plus you got the mystery behind that. And then some really awesome evil. And then of course a little smidgen, and I mean a very tiny smidgen of romance. So I really, really liked that book. It was really fun. Have y'all read it yet?
Yes, it was really dark, which I kind of liked. It ended up being a lot creepier than I thought it was going to be. You're like, oh, it sounds like dancing. And so I was like, wah, wah, wah. No, it is way creepier than give it credit for at the beginning. So definitely worth getting to the end. It was a good one.
Yeah, it was definitely dark. Sorry. This is not a happy-go-lucky. This was like deep, dark mystery. Everyone's dying, but not really.
Well, if anybody knows Miss Lewis from Hillwood, she said that she was starting to read it, and her fiance took it and wouldn't let her have the audio book back, so she didn't finish it. So he loved it too. It's not just a librarian thing.
Awesome.
Let's see. Oh, Miss Lewis is here tonight. Shout out, Miss Lewis. Woo, woo.
That's what I thought. Couldn't resist sharing. All right, am I up next, Miss Shea?
Yeah. I'm having to go in between sharing and not sharing, so be nice to me. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so in order to start talking about this book, I want to read the first line. I think it's the first line. I'm almost positive it is. The first line of this book just will give you a pretty good idea of just kind of the book it is. It says, the day I came squealing and squalling into the world was the first time someone tried to kill me. I guess it should have been obvious to everyone right then that I wasn't going to have a normal life. And she certainly is not. This book looks like it takes place in the Civil War, and it does, except if you'll notice, it's a Black woman dressed up kind of like a soldier, and she's not carrying a rifle. She's got like a bloody scythe that she's holding there beside her. Is that how you say it? The S-C-Y-T-H-E? Is that scythe? Scythe. I never get that right, but that's what it is if you see in the picture. So there is quite a difference there in that picture. So what's going on here is the main character, Jane, was born 3 days after the dead started to rise, and it started on the Battle of Gettysburg Field. They all rose, and they're all the undead. They're zombies. In this book, they call them shamblers. And so the Civil War had to end because, I mean, why they can't fight the Civil War if they're fighting zombies too. So what they did was they started taking all of the slaves and they put them in these schools. And now it's going to be the slaves' jobs to put down the shamblers so that the rest of the country can go about whatever normal life they can with zombies running around. But that's their job. So Jane has got these zombies off and kill them so that they can graduate and become attendants for these rich white women who, need to still travel because they're rich and white and have to go to parties and stuff, but there are zombies everywhere. So she goes there to be this attendant. And when she graduates, they don't send her where she wants to go. Something has happened. And that's kind of a surprise. So I won't tell you. That sends her to a place called the Survivalists. And when they get there, her other classmate is, she's also a slave, but she's very, very light skinned, so much so that she can pass for a white person. So they pretend that she's the rich white person and Jane is her attendant, and they're out there, they're going to try to find one of their missing friends. And it just becomes this crazy. There's zombies everywhere. There's, this whole role of women during the Civil War and how they're kind of like bucking the system because of that. And I mean, there is all kinds of stuff happening. It is so good. Yes. And the sequel just came out recently. So that's a signed copy too.
That's so pretty. Yeah. NTTBF, y'all.
That's
shut down. It was the first weekend of spring break, and so the COVID madness had not hit, and I got to see authors and touch them, but not touch them. That's weird. But I was so happy to get the Deathless Divide. Oh, so happy.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Great book. It's a great series. Lauren, you said something. We didn't hear you.
Sorry, you're cutting out. I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we make this a middle school Battle of the Books book for next year?
No. Oh, I don't know. Dread Nation was a book this year. So if you want all my questions, I'll give you my questions.
Well, it is.
Dread Nation is so good. I loved, you had me at zombies, but then you add in the Civil War, and then this, the main character, I love her spunk. The world cannot get her down. Like, she is just like, I don't know, like just coming out screaming, and I love her. And she's so like, no mess, like no drama, but she'll tell you like it is. And I respect that. Girl, get it. So this was awesome. But I think guys would actually love this book too, because like I said, zombies, slaying them in half, throwing knives to their heads. You have Native Americans, you have, old Wild West towns, and of course, all the just craziness that involved in Reconstruction or no Reconstruction, because the Civil War really didn't even happen because there were zombies. So this was probably one of my favorite books from last year. Loved it.
I'm excited.
I did too. It was fun.
All right. Am I next then?
Yes.
Oh.
See what's up. By the way, shout out to whoever is watching that is reading the Delirium series. I love that one. That was a fantastic series or trilogy.
Lauren Oliver's awesome. She has some great books.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is The Queen's Assassin, and I'm going to be super honest with this one. I chose it because I like the cover. Let's see. All right, so this is a fantasy, and let's see, how do I start on this one? I keep picking really complicated ones to talk about. Okay, so you're following one of the main characters is Caledon Holt, who is the Queen's assassin, and that sounds exactly like what that is. He is there to protect the crown and at all costs. And it started with his father, and they have to go back and find and bring back these magic scrolls that give the history and how to do magic. What are they called? Ephesians. They have taken the scrolls a long time ago, and so it was the Queen's assassin's job to bring those back. But in order to do that, he had to make a blood oath, which is by magic, with the Queen. And the problem with the blood oath is that it's not just for that one person, but it follows along generations until that oath is completed. So the father dies, and that passes on to our main character, or one of our main characters, Caledon, who is the new Queen's assassin. And so he is bound by his father's blood oath to continue to try to find these magic scrolls and return them to their kingdom. The other main character is the Queen's daughter. So the princess, she goes by Shadow most of the time. And she is, to protect her, her mom sends her to go live with her aunts in somewhere nearby, and which really felt a lot like
Sleeping Beauty.
That's exactly what it made me think of.
I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, oh my gosh, I even read this book and I was like, Sleeping Beauty. Okay.
Yes. A question real quick, is it middle school appropriate? Absolutely, yes. It was appropriate. There's nothing inappropriate for that. So yes, definitely in our middle school for sure. There is, she is training, she is raised by her aunts, and they are part of the guild, which is part of this magical group that they learn how to do magic. And so she's a mage, but what her true aspirations are in life is she wants to train to be an assassin too, and to be part of the guild. But of course she's the princess, so that's not going to happen. So her 18th birthday is coming up. She is called to court by her mom. So she runs. She runs away, and she is looking for Caledon to get him to train her. And so she really wants to become this assassin. There is a ton of really good action and adventure in this one, but there's also quite a bit of romance because, of course, they get to know each other and they fall for each other. And
PG.
Part of the book. It's PG. But the tension there is so good. I really liked both the characters, and you love that they're starting to fall for each other. So this one's can be considered a fantasy, romantic fantasy fun in there. So
I like this book. I just I went in thinking that it was like I had really high expectations because Melissa de la Cruz, she's written a lot of books I like. And so I read the synopsis and was like, oh my gosh. And I think I was wanting something like just epic love story. And so when she says romance, it wasn't over the top at all. So don't let that sway you, because I went in wanting like a really sappy, amazing romance, and it didn't give me that. So I still loved the book, but I was just kind of like, wah, wah. But it wasn't bad. I just thought there was going to be this epic love story, and it really wasn't. There was a lot of fight scenes and a lot of, battling and Shadow trying to prove herself, and her slowly, well, actually she idolized the guy from the beginning. Like he was like her assassin hero or something. So following him was really easy, but him kind of bantering and falling for her, that was really fun. So I liked it too. It was a good book.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. A little predictable, but in a good way.
It was good. Yeah.
I liked it. Who's next?
Downstairs Girl. So this one, is it still up on the Sweet Reads for Sora for free?
Yes.
Okay, so this one you can actually listen to an audiobook on Sora for free right now, and it's multiple users, so everybody can check it out at the same time. So I really like this one. If you know me, I love K-dramas. Like I have a huge, and Chinese dramas, any kind of Asian dramas, like I'm addicted. So when this came out, I was like, oh my gosh, she's Chinese American. And she's in Georgia, Southern Georgia, Georgia peaches. And it really got me excited, and it didn't let me down at all. So The Downstairs Girl by Stacey Lee It is a book about a Chinese American girl, and this is down way back when in the South, where anybody who wasn't white was less than. And so she almost has to work 100 times harder than everybody else just to try to earn a living. And she and her grandfather figure, they actually squat. And what that means is they're illegally living in the basement of this house that is that they print newspapers. And so her whole life she's heard, reporters, talking about their news stories and everything like that. And then also during this time, she's been working as a hat maker. So she's at the picture of the book, she has this gorgeous hat. But right at the beginning of the story, she loses her hat job. And like I said, it's really hard for Chinese Americans to find work. And so she has to actually go start working where she used to work when she was younger. And she doesn't really like it because the daughter of the family, she's like a lady's maid. The daughter of the family is just oppressed, like an awful to work for. And she hates it. But that's where her grandfather works as a horse guy. I totally am not saying that right. Whatever horse people do at rich houses. So she's working for like the richest family in town, but then also the newspaper needs someone to stay afloat. They need someone to write like a Miss Sweetie type column, like, "Dear Miss Sweetie, I can't get the stains from my husband's shirt out. He's such a sweaty pig." And then she'll write back, "Dear pig tamer, if you use a little bit of whatever, you'll get it right out." And so she starts doing that, and then the people don't know it's her. She's doing it anonymously. So I really like the story because it was sweet. It had a lot of really good history in it. And then, Southern charms, Georgia stuff, plantations. And then there's a little bit of a mystery in there that keeps you really kind of like, oh, what happened? And then the whole ending, I was like, what? So I really, really, really enjoyed this. And coming from me, that's huge because I don't like historical fiction. Like, it is not my jam, but this book was my jam. I love it. And I will keep recommending it to people over and over and over again. And like I said, right now it's a free audiobook on Sora. So you should definitely read it or listen to it. Is anyone listening to it? Do you like it? Like, I have to read things, but I didn't know if the audiobook is something that you really enjoyed, if you've heard it. Yes, several listening to it right now. Good taste, people. Yeah. Good taste.
I know one of the boys from my school, Morgan Bart, is listening to it in the book club. I haven't read it or listened to it yet, so that's a good recommendation.
Cool.
So yeah, it's led by Ms. Bozone from Fossil Hill. So I think they're in their last stages of it right now.
Good. All right.
Mama. All right. Infinity Sun. This one, I like to call it, okay, I say this one is Renegades and Steelheart meets Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts. It's got a little bit of everything. There are superheroes, or people with superpowers, rather. Some of them are trying to what we would call the good guys. Some of them are the bad guys, but really there's more gray areas than there are just black and white. It's in a society that doesn't really deem them as being heroes, but rather people to be afraid of. Then there's also a lot of different creatures that have special abilities, and some of those creatures are being killed and drained of their powers to give other people who don't have powers some power, and that's a whole different sector of the type of magic that they're dealing with. There's also people can use power just from their hands, but then others have wands and can use it that way. So it's a little bit of everything in this world. So it follows Emil and Brighton, who are brothers, and I don't want to give too much away by talking about it, but one gets powers and the other doesn't have any. And that causes a lot of friction at the beginning. But they're coming into this place that they're in and their 18th birthday. And there are some huge twists and turns, which is why I can't talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil any twists, but their life is definitely forever changed. And let me just say, it evolves around a lot of phoenixes. And so if you know anything about phoenix lore, then you'll know kind of where that's kind of leading to for one of the characters. So without giving away too much, I just can tell you a bit about that. What I did love though, at the very beginning of the book, because I'm doing the audio, they had their little dedication and he dedicated it to his friends. And I love that he said, and thank you guys for hanging in there with all of my my Harry Potter fanfic writings. And so you can definitely see a lot of that make its way into this book, which is a lot of fun. Either of you read this one yet?
Nope, I have not. You know me, I have a hard time with fantasy. I grab fantasy because I'm like, they say it's good. I'm going to read this fantasy book. And then I'll read it and I like it, but I won't go to it first. So I have to make myself do it. But I always find the one that I like.
I totally added it to my Goodreads as you were talking. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't even texting people. I was adding it to my Goodreads.
This one's definitely up your alley. So this one.
Oh, I'm a fantasy first. Like generally, I don't not like fantasy. Like it has to just be awful. Then I'm like, publisher, why did you pay money for this to print it? So normally I like it.
And what I liked about this one is it was kind of refreshing just to have more male main characters again. There have been so many that are female main characters, and that's perfectly fine, but sometimes
you had me at magic and phoenixes. Like I don't need anything else. And then of course you topped it off with the cherry of Harry Potter fan fiction. Like hello, like I'm sold. I'm probably gonna love it. It's probably gonna be my first 5-star of the season.
It was enjoyable. It was a lot of fun.
All right, before I start talking about this one, I do want to throw this question out to anybody who's listening right now in the live chat, and that is, let us know what you want us to talk about next week or in the upcoming weeks, like what kinds of books. Titles, yes, you can throw those in, but if you're thinking like, I really want to hear more middle grade, or I really want to hear more realistic fiction, just if you want more of something, let us know so that we can kind of go back into our Goodreads list and find something worth recommending. And
I've been reading a lot of mystery, some good ones.
Love me some
mystery. I love mystery. That's one of my favorites. I like the realistic mysteries though. But and then after I talk about this, we want to ask you a question too, audience of ours. Okay, so back to historical fiction. This one is a much more serious theme. Every time anybody comes in the library and wants historical fiction, I always ask them, okay, what part of history would you like to read about? And 9 times out of 10, what do they say, Ms. Shea and Ms. Sutler? What part of history? Yep, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, and there's so many good books about World War II that I'm ready for there to be something different, and this is what this is. My personal beef with a lot of World War II books is that it's all about things that happened in Europe. And I'm very happy to see that this is a combination of something that happened in Europe with the concentration camps and all of that, but also the atrocities that happened here in America at the same time. I feel like there's not enough books about this to educate our kids as to what really happened in America at the same time. So this book is about a boy and a girl. The boy's name is Alex, and the girl's name is Charlie. Alex lives in America, in Washington, and he is Japanese. Charlie is a girl, and she lives in Paris, and this is right around the time Hitler was coming in to, with his reign of terror and taking over Europe. So they are put into this pen pal program when they're younger, and Alex thinks he's getting a boy named Charlie as his pen pal. So the first letter that comes in is this girly ranting about, girly things like dresses and stuff. And he's like, what? I don't want to be this person's pen pal. I'm a boy. This is dumb. Well, they won't let him change. And so he ends up just kind of like putting up with it. But then the world starts to crumble around them. Pearl Harbor is bombed, and America decides that they're going to take every Japanese American, no matter how long they've lived there, and put them in internment camps. So he and his family are taken to Manzanar, which is one of the more well-known internment camps. They're not as horrific as the concentration camps in Europe, but they were not wonderful. And so he is taken there with his family. At the same time, Charlie is trying to kind of move around Paris with people so that she can escape the German soldiers who are starting to kind of come in and take people away to these camps. And all we know about Charlie is what happens between their letters. So the story is truly narrated by Alex. And he gets letters from her and sees what's going on. And then things are happening with him and his brother, and his dad is taken off to prison for something. He didn't even do anything. They just did it because he was a Japanese man and they accused him of something. And he's dealing with all this, and we don't know what's going on with Charlie at all. And all of it, so we're seeing everything that happened. He eventually joins the war and fights with a Japanese unit and tries to discover what happened to Charlie. And so we discover what happened to her along with him as he discovers more and more of her letters. It's an incredible book. It's a very, very serious book, beautiful writing. Some of the descriptions of Manzanar are the same wording that they used to use to describe the immigrants coming to see the Statue of Liberty. And it's such a weird juxtaposition because it's like this hope of seeing Statue of Liberty, but then there's this awful, horrible bleakness in describing Manzanar, and it's the same wording. It's just a beautifully written book about a very interesting time from two very different viewpoints.
I've been really interested about that time frame as well, especially like George Takei. He was on Star Trek, and he wrote a graphic novel called They Called Us Enemy. So I've been really trying to consume as much as I can about the Japanese internment camps. And I remember when I used to teach elementary, I used to always read, I can't even remember the name of the book, but it was this baseball book, and it always talked about the Japanese internment camps. So oh my gosh, like this is like become a new obsession of mine. So I seriously, I added it to my Goodreads. Like you had me at that. And then I love the letters. Oh, I think it's going to break my heart and make me happy cry and sad cry. But I'm going to read this book, Carrie, Miss Harris, just for you.
It's got one of those sad, hopeful endings, kind of reminds me of, oh my gosh.
Salt of the Sea. Salt of the Sea.
Why can't I remember this tonight?
Miss Harris, you sound like a robot today.
I know my internet connection's being weird. I'm sorry. I moved in this house and they won't come in my house and give me the good cable. They just gave me the basic, and I'm dying.
Well, you did move to the boonies.
True story. So what I want to throw out to the audience is we need a name. Can y'all hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Sure. Now, yes, go.
We need a name. We want the audience to give us some suggestions for like who are we? We need a moniker that will kind of encompass all of us. We've come up with someone. I think that the audience might give us some. So some of what we're trying to do is we want you to read irresponsibly. You don't want to be responsible for anything we're reading this summer. Even when school starts again, hopefully, even when that happens. You just need to read things that you don't have to be responsible for. So we were thinking the Reading Rebels. But then Miss Shea came up with, or was that you, Miss?
I was
Steller?
me.
What did you say? We're the lit librarian? No, that was Miss Steller. We're the lit librarians. What did you say?
Lit librarians. We read irresponsibly. Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but when a teacher told me I had to read a book, it automatically went from a 10 to a 4. And it could have been the best book in the world. And I'm still scarred from the Scarlet Letter. And then also, what's the one? I don't even know. There's another one. And all ninth graders have to read it. And I hate it. And so, you just read to read and enjoy it and binge it and live another life for a day, because let me tell you, sometimes that's what gets me through. So read irresponsibly. And maybe we are the lit librarians because we're pretty awesome.
Okay. So if you guys have
a request for more realistic books or even realistic mystery, good there. So more like Field Guide to North American Teenager or Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So
oh my gosh, I have the perfect mystery for next time. Woo! I read it in a night. That's how much I liked it. And I even tweeted out to the author because the ending, I was like, no. Just wait.
I think of Stalking Jack the Ripper, although it's
it's
realistic.
It's thriller. I like it though. No, that one's a good one too.
It's not completely realistic, but so good. So.
Yeah, we'll get you some really awesome realistic and thriller books.
Writing it down.
Did you see what she put in the chat? Audio Sync, the free audio books that are coming out once a week this summer.
Little White Lies. Yeah.
The Stalking Jack the Ripper is free on Audio Sync this week.
And we have it on our Sora account on Keller as well.
I just ordered myself a Thomas Cresswell candle.
Someone had Funko Pops of the Stalking Jack the Ripper characters. I was a little jealous, I'm not gonna lie.
It's definitely one of those you fangirl over afterward. It's really good.
I feel like there's something weird in saying we have Funko Pops in a Stalking Jack the Ripper. It just sounds so bizarre.
Oh, did you know you can make Funko dolls of yourself? Like everyone needs a Funko Pop doll of Michelle. So I'm gonna start making them, and I'm gonna make them for each of you. And while we're having the book talks, I want them to be like right behind you. And so I'm always looking over your shoulder. You know what? I'm gonna make some of the three of us. I'm gonna make us Funko Pop dolls, and they are gonna be amazing.
It would never work for you because Funko Pops, all they just stand there or bobble. No. You talk with like your whole body. I don't think that works.
But they have really big heads. You'll be like, that's Misty right there.
I'm just going to hold it and do it like this and make up things that you're saying.
No. Hey, deal. Done. Oh my goodness gracious.
Okay.
All right. I'm already ready for episode 4. Oh my gosh. See what y'all did now? Y'all got me all excited. We only have 7 days. Or 6 days. Does it count? Like, is it 7 or 6?
Oh, I definitely still read on the Tuesday before.
Okay.
Still counts.
And if I'd stop reading the books that y'all recommend, like right now, I'm a last chapter of Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Thank you to whoever checked it out on Sora. I just went and bought a copy, but that's okay. I'm helping the author get 25 cents a book.
It was me. It's okay.
You know, I'll forgive you because I love to share in my reading. And then also, I have a lot of books that we can give away. So let's start next time. The three of us will decide how we're going to do this amazing giveaway stuff. We'll come up with a way. And then we'll mail it to you. So call your friends, invite them because you might wind up with a book. And I think all the books I got were published in 2019. So they're new books or they're new published books in 2020. So I'm not going to give you like a 2014 book I read unless it's like amazing, but I'm not giving it to you because it's amazing. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, ladies. I think that's a wrap for episode 3.
All right.
I'm excited for next week's murder session talk.
Oh, that could be our theme.
Murder.
Ooh, murder.
No, I got it. Hashtag
what thriller? Reading books won't make you stabby.
No, there's a hashtag. Do hashtag stab, stab, stab.
I don't think I could find a Bitmoji of me stabbing. Like, I'll try though. You know, during quarantine and COVID and all this, I bet there's some crazy Bitmojis out there. Or maybe we'll have to do some live action role play.
Just take selfies, and I will put them in the thing, and it's going to be awesome.
All right, people. So this is your 3 lit librarians telling you to read irresponsibly. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.